Clara's knees hit the frozen ground. Her arms wouldn't stop shaking. The baby had gone silent an hour ago, too silent. She pressed her cracked lips to his forehead and felt the fever burning through his skin. "Mama," Emmy whispered behind her. "Mama, I can't feel my feet no more." That's when Clara saw him, a man on horseback, watching from the ridge. She didn't have the strength to run. She didn't have the strength to beg. She only had enough strength to say one word: please. Stay with us until the end, to witness a love born from mercy. Subscribe now and comment your city below. I want to see how far this story travels. The wind cut through Clara's shawl like it meant to kill her. She kept walking. One foot, then the other. The snow had soaked through her boots 3 miles back, and now she couldn't tell where her feet ended and the frozen ground began. The baby whimpered against her chest, a weak sound barely there. "Mama?" Sam's voice came from behind her, thin and cracked. "Mama, Emmy fell again." Clara stopped. She turned slow, every joint in her body screaming. Emmy lay in the snow, her small body curled like a wounded animal. Her lips were blue. "Get up, baby." Clara's voice didn't sound like her own. "Emmy, you gotta get up." "I can't, Mama." Tears froze on the girl's cheeks. "My legs won't work." Clara handed the baby to Sam. The boy took his brother without a word, his 10-year-old face set hard like a man twice his age. Clara knelt in the snow and gathered Emmy into her arms. The girl weighed nothing. That scared her more than anything. "I got you," Clara whispered. "Mama's got you." She stood. Her spine felt like it might snap. She started walking again. Behind her, Sam followed, carrying the baby, not complaining, not crying. He hadn't cried once since they left. Not when the wagon wheel broke. Not when the horse died. Not when Clara told him they'd have to walk the rest of the way. Wherever the rest of the way was. She didn't know anymore. "Mama!" Emmy's voice was barely a breath. "Are we gonna die?" Clara's throat closed up. She couldn't answer. She just held her daughter tighter and kept walking. The ridge appeared through the snow like a ghost, and on top of it, a shape. A man on a horse, still as stone, watching them. Clara's heart stopped. She knew what men on horses meant out here. She knew what they did to women alone. To children. She'd heard the stories. She'd seen the aftermath once outside of Laramie, a burned wagon and bodies the coyotes had found first. She couldn't run. Her legs wouldn't carry her. She couldn't fight. She had no weapon, no strength. All she could do was stand there, her daughter in her arms, her sons behind her, and wait. The man didn't move for a long moment. Then he clicked his tongue, and the horse started down the slope toward them. Slow, unhurried, like he had all the time in the world. Clara watched him come. She counted his breaths, counted her own. Emmy had gone still in her arms, too still. "Emmy!" Clara shook her. "Emmy, stay awake for Mama." The girl's eyes fluttered. "Tired, Mama." "I know, baby, I know, but you gotta stay awake, just a little longer." The man reached them. He sat on his horse looking down at them with dark eyes under a battered hat. His face was weathered lined, the face of a man who'd seen too much and said too little. A scar ran down the side of his neck, disappearing into his collar. He didn't speak. Clara found her voice. It came out broken, barely above a whisper. "Please." That was all she had. One word. Everything she'd ever been, everything she'd ever wanted, reduced to that single syllable. The man's jaw tightened. He looked at Emmy limp in Clara's arms. He looked at Sam standing behind her with the baby pressed to his chest. He looked at the baby whose whimpers had gone quiet. Then he dismounted. Clara flinched back. She couldn't help it. The man stopped. He held up both hands, palms out. "I ain't gonna hurt you." His voice was low, rough, like gravel scraped over wood. But there was something in it. Something that made Clara's legs stop shaking. "The girl," he said. "She got a fever." Clara nodded. Words wouldn't come. The baby too. Another nod. The man looked back up the ridge. Then at her. I got a cabin, 1/2 mile. You can make it. Clara stared at him. She didn't understand. Men didn't help women like her. Not out here, not anywhere. I can carry the girl, he said. But I need you to walk. Can you walk? Why? The word tore out of her. Why would you help us? Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe, or memory. Because it's cold, he said. And the ground ain't no place for children. He reached for Emmy. Clara's arms tightened around her daughter. I ain't gonna hurt her, he said again, patient, steady. But she needs warmth. She needs it now. You understand? Clara looked at her daughter's blue lips, at her closed eyes, at the frost forming on her eyelashes. She let go. The man took Emmy like she weighed nothing. He cradled her against his chest, one arm under her knees, the other around her back. Emmy's head lolled against his shoulder. Follow me, he said. He started walking. His horse followed without being told. Clara stood there for one long breath. Then Sam appeared at her side, the baby in his arms. Mama! His voice was scared. Should we go with him? Clara looked at her son, at his hollow cheeks and his chapped lips and his eyes that had seen too much for a boy his age. We don't got a choice, she said. They followed. The cabin appeared through the snow like a promise Clara didn't dare believe. It was small, rough-hewn, but solid. Smoke curled from the chimney. Light glowed behind the windows. Clara could smell wood smoke and something else, coffee maybe, or stew. Her stomach cramped so hard she almost doubled over. The man kicked open the door and carried Emmy inside. Clara followed Sam behind her. The warmth hit her like a wall. She stumbled, caught herself on the doorframe. Close the door, the man said. Keep the heat in. Sam closed it. The sound of the wind cut off, replaced by the crackle of a fire. Clara stood in the doorway, not trusting any of it. The warmth. The shelter. The man who'd brought them here. He laid Emmy on a bed in the corner, covered her with a thick quilt. His movements were quick but careful, like he'd done this before. Like he knew what dying looked like and was trying to stop it. You got water. Clara's voice cracked. She needs water. I'll get it. He moved to a barrel in the corner, ladled water into a tin cup. He brought it to Clara, not to the bed. She stared at him. You drink first, he said. You're no good to her dead. Clara took the cup. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. She drank. The water was cold clean, the best thing she'd ever tasted. She wanted to drink until she burst. But she stopped herself, handed it back. Now her, she said. He nodded and brought the water to Emmy. Clara followed, knelt by the bed. She lifted her daughter's head, pressed the cup to her lips. Drink, baby. Come on, drink for Mama. Emmy's lips parted. Water dribbled down her chin, but some of it went in. Clara felt tears on her own cheeks, hot against her frozen skin. The baby, the man said. He's burning up. Clara turned. Sam still held the baby standing by the fire, looking lost and scared and so young. Give him here, Clara said. Sam brought the baby to her. Clara pressed her palm to his forehead. Hot. Too hot. His breaths came in shallow little gasps. I got some broth on the stove, the man said. Might help. You got any willow bark, yarrow, anything for fever? He nodded. I'll get it. Clara didn't watch him go. She couldn't take her eyes off her son, her baby. 14 months old, and he might not make it through the night. You ain't gonna die, she whispered to him. You hear me? Mama ain't gonna let you die. The baby's eyes fluttered open, gray like storm clouds, like his father's. But there was nothing of Silas in this child, nothing of that man who'd left them behind. This was her son, hers alone. Mama's here, she said. "Mama's right here." The man came back with a pouch of dried herbs and a wooden bowl. He moved around her not too close, giving her space. Like he understood something without being told. "Willow bark tea," he said. "Tastes like hell, but it'll bring down the fever." "Thank you." The words felt strange in her mouth. She couldn't remember the last time she'd said them. "Don't thank me yet." He poured hot water over the herbs, stirred them with a stick. "Kids are tough, but that baby." He didn't finish. "He'll make it." Clara's voice hardened. "He has to." The man looked at her, really looked for the first time. "What's your name?" She hesitated. Names were dangerous. Names could be traced, followed, found. "Clara," she said finally. "Clara Whitmore." "Wade Callahan." He handed her the bowl of tea. "This here's my land, my home. Ain't much, but it's warm." "Why are you helping us?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Had a son once. Wasn't much older than that one." He nodded at the baby. "Lost him to fever. Lost his mama, too. Same winter." Clara's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. Wasn't your doing." He stood, moved to the stove. "You need to eat, all of you. I got stew." "I can work," Clara said quickly. "I don't expect charity. I can work for whatever you give us." Wade stopped, looked at her over his shoulder. "I know you can," he said. "But tonight, you just gotta rest. You hear me? Tonight, you just gotta let your children sleep somewhere warm." Clara's chin trembled. She pressed her lips together, fighting it. She wouldn't cry. She'd sworn she wouldn't cry again, not after Silas left, not after everything that came after. But the tears came anyway. Sam appeared at her side. He put his small hand on her shoulder, the same way a man might comfort his wife. 10 years old, and he was already more of a man than his father ever was. "It's okay, Mama," he said. "We're safe now." Clara pulled him close. She couldn't speak. She just held him while Emmy slept, and the baby whimpered, and Wade Callahan moved around his cabin preparing food for strangers who'd come out of the snow like ghosts. They ate in silence. The stew was simple venison, potatoes, wild onion, but Clara thought it was the finest thing she'd ever tasted. She fed Emmy first spoonful by spoonful until some color came back to the girl's cheeks. Then the baby broth and mashed potato on her fingertip pressed to his lips until he swallowed. Sam ate like he hadn't seen food in weeks. He probably hadn't, not really. Not enough. Clara ate last. She didn't deserve to eat before her children did. Wade sat across the room watching them without staring. He ate slow, methodical, like a man who'd learned to make every bite count. When the bowls were empty, Emmy spoke. Her voice was still weak, but clearer now. "Mr." She looked at Wade with those big blue eyes. "Are you a cowboy?" Wade's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Rancher," he said. "I raise cattle." "Do you got a horse?" "I do." "What's its name?" "Ghost." Emmy's eyes went wide. "That's a scary name." "He's a scary horse, but gentle when he wants to be. Can I pet him tomorrow?" Wade looked at Clara, asking permission. Clara nodded, just once. "Yeah," Wade said to Emmy. "If you're feeling better, you can pet him tomorrow." Emmy smiled. It was the first time Clara had seen her smile in weeks. "You should sleep," Clara told her. "You need rest." "Will you stay with me, Mama?" "I ain't going nowhere, baby. I promise." She gathered Emmy in her arms, settled onto the bed Wade had given up for them. Sam curled up at their feet, his arm around the baby, protective even in sleep. Clara lay there, her children pressed against her, and stared at the ceiling. Wade sat by the fire, his back to them. He didn't speak, didn't turn around, just sat there feeding the flames, keeping the cabin warm. "Mr. Callahan." Clara's voice was soft. "Just Wade." "Wade." She paused. "That thing you said, about the ground not being a place for children. You meant it?" He was quiet for a long time. Then, every word. Clara closed her eyes. For the first time in months, she let herself breathe. She woke to the sound of boots on wood. Clara's eyes snapped open. Her hand went to the knife she kept strapped to her thigh, still there, thank God, and she sat up, heart pounding. Wade stood by the stove, pouring coffee. He glanced at her, then away. "Didn't mean to wake you," he said. Clara let out a shaky breath, relaxed her grip on the knife. "Old habit. Bad ones." She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The baby stirred in Sam's arms. Clara reached for him, checked his forehead. Still warm, but not burning like before. The fever was breaking. "Willow bark tea's working," Wade said. "I made more. It's on the table." "Thank you. You keep saying that. You keep deserving it." Wade's jaw tightened. He poured himself a cup of coffee, then poured one for her, brought it over. "Where you coming from?" he asked. Clara wrapped her hands around the cup. The warmth seeped into her bones. "Nebraska. Before that, Ohio." "Long way." "Too long." "Where you headed?" Clara looked at her children, at their sleeping faces, at the walls of this cabin that had kept them alive through the night. "Nowhere," she said. "Everywhere. I don't know anymore." Wade nodded like he understood. "Running from something." Clara's heart stuttered. "What makes you say that? Way you flinched when I came at you. Way you checked for your knife just now. Way you ain't asked me where the nearest town is." He sipped his coffee. "Someone's after you." Clara didn't answer. "I ain't asking who," Wade said. "Don't need to know. But if someone comes here looking for trouble, I need to be ready. They won't find us." Clara's voice was harder than she meant it to be. "I covered our tracks, changed directions twice, walked through the river when we could." "Good." Wade set down his cup. "But if they do find you, if anyone comes here meaning you harm, they'll have to go through me first." Clara stared at him. "Why? You don't know us." "You don't owe us nothing." Wade looked at her. His dark eyes held something she couldn't name. Grief, maybe. Or something older, deeper. "Because," he said, "I couldn't save my own family. Maybe I can save someone else's." Clara's throat closed up. She wanted to say something. "Thank you, I'm sorry you don't have to carry this," but no words came. Wade stood. "I got work to do. Cattle don't feed themselves. You and the children stay inside. Rest. There's food in the pantry, water in the barrel. I'll be back before dark." He pulled on his coat, his hat. He was almost to the door when Clara spoke. "Wade." He stopped, didn't turn. "I was married once," she said. "His name was Silas. He wasn't a good man. He left us for gold that didn't exist, left us with nothing but debts and enemies." Wade's back was still to her. "That who's chasing you? His creditors? His friends?" She spat the word. "Men who think I'm property because Silas said I was." Wade's hands clenched at his sides. "They touch you." "Tried to." "What happened?" Clara's voice went cold. "I broke one's nose, stabbed another in the leg. They won't try again." Wade turned. There was something new in his eyes now. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. "Good," he said. "If they show up here, don't hesitate. There's a rifle over the mantel. It's loaded." "I know how to shoot." "I figured." He opened the door. Cold air rushed in, then cut off as he stepped outside. Clara sat there holding her coffee, watching the door close behind him. Across the room, Emmy stirred. "Mama." "Who was that?" Clara smiled. It felt strange on her face, like a muscle she'd forgotten she had. "That's Mr. Wade," she said. "He saved our lives." "Is he going to save us again?" Clara looked at the rifle over the mantel. At the door Wade had just walked through. At her children alive and breathing and warm for the first time in weeks. "Yeah," she said. "I think he might." The day passed slow. Clara cleaned while the children rested. She swept the floor, washed the dishes, scrubbed the table until the wood gleamed. She found Wade's mending pile shirts with torn sleeves, pants with patched knees, and sewed until her fingers ached. She needed to work, needed to feel useful, needed to repay this debt before it grew too large to carry. Emmy woke around noon, hungry and restless. Clara made her stay in bed, but gave her a book from Wade's shelf, a collection of Bible stories, worn soft from handling. "Can you read to me, Mama?" Emmy asked. Clara's chest hurt. "In a minute, baby. Let me finish this." "You always say that." Clara stopped sewing, looked at her daughter. Really looked. Emmy was 7 years old. She'd lost her father, her home, everything she'd ever known. She'd walked until her feet bled and nearly died in the snow. And she still believed her mama would read to her. Clara set down the mending. She crossed to the bed, sat on the edge, and pulled Emmy into her lap. "Which story you want?" she asked. Emmy thought about it. "The one with the boat, and all the animals." "Noah's Ark." "Yeah, that one." Clara opened the book. She read until her voice gave out, and even then Emmy didn't let go of her hand. Wade came back at dusk. He stamped the snow off his boots outside, came in with red cheeks and frost on his beard. He carried a brace of rabbits over his shoulder. "Supper," he said, setting them on the table. Sam looked up from the corner where he'd been whittling a stick with a knife Wade had left out. "I can help skin them." Wade raised an eyebrow. "You know how?" "I learned back in Ohio. Mama taught me." Wade glanced at Clara. She nodded. "All right then." Wade handed Sam one of the rabbits. "Show me what you got." Clara watched them work side by side. Wade showed Sam the proper way to make the first cut, how to peel the skin back clean, how to gut without piercing the intestines. He was patient, never harsh, correcting mistakes without criticism. Silas had never taught Sam anything. Silas had never even looked at Sam unless he wanted something. Clara felt something loosen in her chest, something she'd kept clenched for years. "Mama?" Emmy tugged at her sleeve. "I'm hungry." "I know, baby. Supper's coming soon. Can I have more stew?" "We're having rabbit tonight. You like rabbit?" "I like stew better." Clara almost laughed. Almost. "Tomorrow," she said. "Tomorrow I'll make you stew." That night after supper, Wade sat by the fire again. Clara put the children to bed, sang the lullaby her mother used to sing, the one about the river and the willows. Emmy fell asleep before the second verse. Sam pretended to sleep, but Clara could see his eyes moving under his lids. She crossed to the fire, sat on the floor a few feet from Wade. Not too close. Close enough. "You got a good boy there," Wade said. "I know. He'll be a good man someday." Clara watched the flames dance. "He already is." They sat in silence for a while. The fire popped and cracked. Outside, the wind howled, but inside, everything was still. "How long you been alone?" Clara asked. Wade didn't answer right away. 8 years, give or take. That's a long time. Gets easier. He paused. "No, that ain't true. Gets different. You learn to fill the silence. Work helps. Routine helps. But the loneliness..." He shook his head. "That never goes away." Clara understood. She understood too well. "I used to pray," she said. "After Silas left, I'd get down on my knees every night and pray for him to come back, for things to go back to how they were." She let out a bitter breath. "Took me a year to realize I was praying for a prison." "Some prisons look like homes." "Yeah, they do." Wade looked at her. The firelight caught his eyes, made them glow amber. "You're safe here," he said. Long as you want to stay. You and the children. I got room. Got work that needs doing. If you want it. Clara's heart pounded. You don't even know us. I know enough. What if I'm dangerous? What if I bring trouble to your door? Then I'll handle it. He said it simply like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I ain't afraid of trouble. Never have been. Clara felt tears threatening again. She blinked them back. Why? She asked. Why would you do this for us? Wade turned back to the fire. His face went hard, unreadable. Because nobody did it for them, he said. My wife. My son. Nobody came to help. I was out with the cattle when the fever hit. By the time I got back... He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Clara reached out. Her hand hovered over his arm, hesitating. Then she touched him. Just a brief pressure, her fingers on his sleeve. He didn't pull away. I'm sorry, she said. I know. They sat like that until the fire burned low, until Clara's eyes grew heavy, and her body felt like it might finally rest. You should sleep, Wade said. So should you. I will. Just need to check the stock first. Make sure the barn's locked up. He stood. Clara watched him pull on his coat again, his movements slow, tired. Wade. He stopped at the door. Thank you, she said, for tonight, for everything. I know I keep saying it, but then stop saying it. He opened the door. Cold air rushed in. Just rest. That's thanks enough. He stepped out into the night. Clara sat by the dying fire, her children sleeping behind her, and let herself believe just for a moment that maybe she'd found someplace safe. But she knew better than to trust it. Nothing stayed safe for long. Not out here. Not for women like her. And somewhere out there in the dark and the snow, Jeremiah Cole was still coming. Clara woke before dawn. Her body screamed for more rest, but years of running had trained her to rise with the darkness. She slipped out of bed without waking the children, her feet silent on the cold floor. Wade was already gone. His bedroll lay empty by the hearth, folded neat. The fire had been stoked recently. He must have done it before leaving. Clara stood there for a moment, staring at that folded bedroll. Silas had never folded anything in his life. He'd left clothes on the floor, dishes, and the basin messes for her to clean. She'd spent 7 years picking up after him like he was a fourth child. She shook off the memory and got to work. By the time Wade came back from the barn, she had coffee boiling and biscuits in the oven. She'd found flour in the pantry, lard, and a tin salt in a jar. Her hands remembered the motions even when her mind was elsewhere. Wade stopped in the doorway. He looked at the table. 2 cups set out, a plate waiting. You didn't have to do that, he said. I know. Clara poured the coffee. Sit down. You look half frozen. He sat. He wrapped his hands around the cup and drank without speaking. Clara watched him from the corner of her eye while she checked on the biscuits. Cattle all right, she asked. Lost one in the night. Old girl been sick for weeks. Knew it was coming. I'm sorry. Don't be. That's ranching. He set down his cup. Your boy's awake. Saw him watching me from the window. Clara turned. Sure enough, Sam stood by the bed, his eyes fixed on them. He had that look again, suspicious, guarded, ready to run. Sam. Clara kept her voice soft. Come eat. The boy crossed the room slowly. He sat at the table, but didn't touch the food. Ain't hungry, he said. You need to eat. I said I ain't hungry. Clara felt her patience fray. Samuel. Let him be. Wade's voice was quiet. Boy eats when he's ready. Sam's eyes snapped to Wade. Something passed between them, a recognition maybe. 2 males sizing each other up. You got chores need doing? Sam asked. Wade raised an eyebrow. You offering? Mama says we work for what we get. We ain't charity. No. Wade said. You ain't. He stood. Finish your coffee first. Then meet me in the barn. You know how to muck stalls. I can learn. Good answer. Wade pulled on his coat and walked out. Sam watched him go, then looked at Clara. He ain't like Pa, Sam said. Clara's chest tightened. No, he ain't. You trust him? She thought about it. Really thought. I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out. Sam nodded once. Then he grabbed a biscuit, stuffed it in his mouth, and followed Wade outside. Clara stood alone in the kitchen, her hands shaking for reasons she couldn't name. The days blurred together. Clara fell into a rhythm she hadn't known since childhood. Up before dawn. Coffee, breakfast dishes. Mending, cleaning, cooking. She attacked Wade's neglected cabin like it was a battlefield, scrubbing floors until her knuckles bled, washing windows until they gleamed. Wade watched her, but didn't comment. He just ate what she cooked, wore what she mended, and left her to it. The children healed faster than she expected. Emmy's fever broke on the third day. She was up and running by the fifth, her laughter ringing through the cabin like something Clara had forgotten could exist. The baby Will, though she rarely called him that, grew stronger with every bowl of broth, every night of warm sleep. Sam worked alongside Wade every morning. He came back with mud on his boots and calluses on his hands, and something new in his eyes. Pride, maybe. Or purpose. Mr. Wade showed me how to fix the fence, he announced one evening. Said I got good hands for it. Clara smiled. That's so. Said if I keep at it, he might teach me to rope. Rope what? Cattle, Mama. What else? Clara laughed. It came out rusty, unused, but it was real. Sam grinned at her. A real grin, not the tight-lipped thing he'd worn for months. He's a good man, Sam said. Ain't he? Clara glanced at Wade, who sat by the fire, pretending not to listen. Yeah, she said. I think he might be. A week passed, then 2. Clara stopped counting the days. She stopped planning their escape, their next move, the road they'd take when this ended. For the first time in longer than she could remember, she just lived. But the fear never left. Not completely. It sat in her chest like a stone, heavy and cold, reminding her that nothing good lasted. That Jeremiah Cole was still out there. That one day he'd find them. She was hanging laundry on the line. Wade had rigged one inside the barn out of the wind when she heard hoofbeats. Her blood went cold. She dropped the shirt she was holding and ran for the cabin. Emmy was inside with Will. Sam was in the far pasture with Wade. The hoofbeats grew louder, closer. Clara burst through the door. Emmy looked up startled. Mama, what's... Get in the back. Take your brother. Hide under the bed and don't come out until I say. But... Now, Emmy. Something in Clara's voice made the girl obey without another word. She grabbed Will and disappeared into the back room. Clara crossed to the mantel. Her hands closed around the rifle. She checked the chamber loaded like Wade had promised. The hoofbeats stopped outside. Clara positioned herself by the window, back to the wall, rifle raised. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her teeth. A knock at the door. Mrs. Whitmore. A woman's voice. Mrs. Whitmore, you in there? Clara froze. Not Jeremiah. Not his men. A woman. She moved to the door, rifle still ready. Who's asking? Name's Agnes Pennington. I run the general store in town. Wade Callahan sent word you might need some things. Clara's hands shook. She lowered the rifle slightly and cracked the door open. An older woman stood on the porch. 60, maybe more, with iron gray hair pulled back in a severe bun. She wore a man's coat over a plain dress and carried a basket covered with cloth. Lord, child. Agnes looked her up and down. You look like you've seen a ghost. Thought you were someone else. I can see that. Agnes's eyes went to the rifle. Mind pointing that somewhere else I ain't armed? Clara stepped back. Let the woman in. But she didn't put down the rifle. Agnes set the basket on the table. Wade said you got 3 little ones. Brought some things, eggs, butter, a bit of cloth for sewing. Nothing fancy. We can't pay. Didn't ask you to. Agnes pulled back the cloth, revealing the goods inside. Wade already settled the account. Man's got more credit than sense, but he's good for it. Clara stared at the basket. Eggs, butter, things she hadn't had in months, things her children needed. Why? She asked. Agnes looked at her with sharp, knowing eyes. Because that's what we do out here. We take care of our own. I ain't one of your own. You are now. Agnes moved to the stove, put the kettle on like she owned the place. Sit down, Mrs. Whitmore. You look ready to fall over. Clara sat. She didn't know what else to do. How long you been running? Agnes asked. Clara's head snapped up. I don't know what you... Child, I've seen that look before. Seen it plenty. Women come through here all the time running from something. Husbands mostly. Brothers sometimes. The law once or twice. She poured 2 cups of tea. I ain't asking what you're running from. Just asking how long. Clara's throat closed up. 4 months. Give or take? That's a long time to be scared. You get used to it. No. Agnes's voice was gentle. You don't. You just learn to hide it better. Clara felt the tears coming. She fought them back. She would not cry in front of this stranger. She would not. There's a man, she heard herself say. Jeremiah Cole. My husband owed him money. When Silas left, Jeremiah decided I was payment. Agnes's face hardened. He touched you. Tried to. I stopped him. Good girl. Agnes reached across the table, took Clara's hand. Her grip was strong, steady. Listen to me. This is Wade Callahan's land. Ain't nobody comes here without him knowing. Ain't nobody leaves without his say-so. You understand? He can't protect us forever. Maybe not, but he'll die trying. Agnes squeezed her hand. That man lost everything once. He ain't about to lose it again. Wade came back that evening with blood on his shirt. Clara was on her feet before he got through the door. What happened? Are you hurt, is Sam? Boy's fine. Wade held up a hand. This ain't mine. Calf got tangled in the wire. Had to cut her loose. Clara's legs went weak. She grabbed the table to steady herself. You all right? Wade asked. Fine. I'm fine. She wasn't. Her heart was still racing. Mrs. Pennington came by. I know. Saw her wagon on the road. You didn't tell me you were sending for supplies. Didn't think I needed to. He pulled off his coat, hung it by the door. You needed things. I got them. I told you I don't want charity. And I told you it ain't charity. He turned to face her. His dark eyes were steady, unreadable. You've been working yourself half to death since you got here. Cooking, cleaning, mending everything short of rebuilding the barn. That ain't charity. That's earning your keep. Clara's jaw tightened. I don't like owing people. Then don't think of it as a debt. He crossed to the stove, poured himself coffee. Think of it as an arrangement. You work, you stay. Simple as that. And when I stop being useful... Wade looked at her over the rim of his cup. You planning on that? No. Then stop borrowing trouble. He walked past her to the fire, sat in his usual chair. Clara stood there, fists clenched, anger and gratitude warring in her chest. I hate this, she said. Hate what me needing help, needing anyone. She turned to face him. I spent 7 years with a man who made me need him. Made me small. Made me believe I couldn't survive without him. And then he left and I proved him wrong. I kept my children alive. I got us this far. And now? Now you're in my house eating my food, wearing yourself out, trying to prove you don't need me. Wade's voice was calm. That about right? Clara's eyes burned. Yes. Well, he set down his cup. Here's the thing. You don't need me. You made it 4 months on your own. You fought off men twice your size. You walked through a blizzard with 3 children and didn't stop until you found shelter." He stood. "You don't need anyone, Clara Whitmore. But that don't mean you gotta do it alone." He walked past her to the door, stopped with his hand on the latch. "I ain't Silas," he said. "I ain't gonna make you small. I ain't gonna leave. And I sure as hell ain't gonna hurt you." He opened the door. "But I can't make you believe that. Only time can." He stepped out into the cold. Clara stood alone in the cabin, tears streaming down her face, and wondered if maybe, just maybe, she'd finally found a man worth trusting. 3 days later, Clara asked Wade to teach her to shoot. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. They went out behind the barn where he'd set up a row of tin cans on a fence rail. Clara held the rifle the way her father had taught her years ago before he died. But her hands were shaking. "Breathe," Wade said. He stood behind her, not touching, but close enough she could feel his warmth. "Steady your arms. Don't fight the weight." She adjusted her grip, sighted down the barrel. "Don't jerk the trigger. Squeeze it. Slow and even." She fired. The kick nearly knocked her off her feet. The can didn't move. "Again," Wade said. She fired. Missed. Again. She fired. Missed. Again. She fired. The can flew off the rail. "Good." Wade's voice held something like approval. "Now do it faster." They practiced until her shoulder ached and her ears rang. By the end, she could hit 3 cans in a row without missing. "You're a natural," Wade said. "I'm desperate. There's a difference." He almost smiled. Almost. Sometimes that's better. That night, Sam asked a question Clara wasn't ready for. "Mama." He sat by the fire, whittling a piece of wood Wade had given him. "Is Mr. Wade gonna be our new pa?" Clara's hands froze on the shirt she was mending. "What?" "Emmy asked me. Said she wants him to be. Said he's nicer than our real pa ever was." Clara set down the needle. "Sam, I ain't saying I want it." Sam's voice was careful, measured. "Just asking. 'Cause if he is, I need to know." Clara looked at her son, 10 years old, and he was asking questions like a man. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Mr. Wade he's been kind to us. But that don't mean, do you love him?" Clara's heart stopped. Sam. It's a fair question. It ain't that simple. Why not? Clara didn't have an answer. She sat there staring at her hands, trying to find words that wouldn't come. "I loved your father once," she finally said. "Or I thought I did. Turns out I loved the idea of him more than the man himself." She looked at Sam. "I ain't gonna make that mistake again. Not with you and your sisters depending on me." "So you don't love him?" "I didn't say that." Clara's voice cracked. "I said it ain't simple." Sam nodded. He went back to his whittling. "For what it's worth," he said, "I wouldn't mind. If you did love him, I mean. He treats you right. Treats all of us right." He paused. "That's more than Pa ever did." Clara felt the tears threatening again. She blinked them back. "When did you get so wise?" "Had to." Sam looked at her. "Somebody did." The storm hit 3 days later. Clara woke to the sound of wind screaming through the cracks in the walls. Snow piled against the windows, blocking what little light there was. The fire had died down to embers. She threw off the blankets and ran to stoke it. The children huddled together on the bed, Emmy clutching Will Sam standing guard like a tiny soldier. "Where's Mr. Wade?" Emmy asked. Clara's blood went cold. She looked at his bedroll, empty. She ran to the door, threw it open. The wind nearly knocked her down. Snow blinded her, stung her face like needles. "Wade!" she screamed. "Wade!" No answer. Nothing but the howling of the storm. She grabbed her coat, her boots. Sam caught her arm. Mama, you can't go out there. You'll die. He's out there, Sam. Alone. Then we wait. He knows this land. He'll find his way back. And if he doesn't... Sam's face was pale, but his voice was steady. Then we survive. Like we always do. Clara looked at her son, at her daughters, at the fire that was their only warmth. She couldn't leave them. She couldn't. But she couldn't let Wade die either. Stay here, she said. Keep the fire going. Don't open the door for anyone but me or Wade. Understand? Mama. Understand? Sam nodded. Clara stepped out into the storm. She found him halfway to the barn. He was on his hands and knees crawling through the snow. His coat was white with frost. His face was blue. Wade? Clara dropped beside him, grabbed his arm. Wade, can you hear me? He looked at her with unfocused eyes. Cattle, he mumbled. Had to check the cattle. You fool! You damn fool! She pulled his arm over her shoulder, tried to lift him. He was too heavy. You gotta help me, Wade. You gotta stand. Can't feel my legs. I don't care. Stand up. Now. Something in her voice got through. He pushed himself up. She bore his weight, staggering her legs, screaming in protest. 1 step, 2, 3. The wind fought them every inch. The snow was up to her thighs now. She couldn't see the cabin, couldn't see anything but white. Clara. Wade's voice was fading. Leave me. Shut up. You'll die out here. Then we'll die together. She kept walking. I ain't leaving you, Wade Callahan. You hear me? I ain't leaving. She didn't know how long they walked. Minutes, hours. Her arms were numb. Her face was frozen. Her lungs burned with every breath. Then, the cabin. A shape in the white. A door. She slammed into it with her shoulder. It flew open. She dragged Wade inside and kicked it shut behind them. Sam was there immediately, helping her lower Wade to the floor. Emmy brought blankets. Even little Will tottered over his face, scared. Is he dead? Emmy whispered. No. Clara stripped off Wade's frozen coat, his boots. He's not dead. Sam, get more wood on the fire. Emmy, heat some water. Go. The children scrambled to obey. Clara rubbed Wade's hands, his arms, his legs. He was so cold. Too cold. Don't you die, she hissed at him. Don't you dare die on me. His eyes fluttered open. Clara, I'm here. Did you come after me? Of course I did. Stupid. His voice was weak, but there was something in it. Wonder, maybe. Stupid, stubborn woman. Yeah, well, takes one to know one. He almost laughed. Almost. Clara kept rubbing his hands, kept talking to him, kept him awake until the color came back to his face and his breathing steadied. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, something had changed. Clara didn't know what it was yet, but she knew it was something. Something that scared her more than Jeremiah Cole ever had. The storm lasted 3 days. They ran low on firewood. Clara rationed the food. Wade recovered slowly, his fingers and toes raw from frostbite but whole. He didn't complain. He just sat by the fire watching Clara move through the cabin, a strange look in his eyes. On the second night after the children were asleep, he spoke. You saved my life. Clara didn't look up from her mending. You saved ours first. That was different. Was it? She set down the needle. You brought us in out of the cold, gave us food, shelter, everything we needed. How is that different? I wasn't risking nothing. Neither was I. She met his eyes. I knew what I was doing, Wade. I made a choice. Why? The question hung between them. Clara felt her heart hammering against her ribs. Because, she said slowly, my children need you. This place needs you. She paused. I need you. Wade was silent for a long moment. Then he said, You don't have to need me. I know, but I do anyway. She stood, crossed to where he sat. I spent 4 months telling myself I didn't need anyone, that I was stronger alone. And maybe I am. But strong ain't the same as happy, Wade. Strong ain't the same as safe. She knelt beside his chair, took his hand in hers. I don't know what this is, she said. I don't know what it's gonna be. But I know I don't want to leave, and I know I don't want you to leave either. Wade looked at her. His dark eyes were soft, vulnerable, like she'd never seen them before. I ain't going nowhere, he said. Long as you want me here, I ain't going nowhere. Clara felt the tears come. She didn't fight them this time. Wade reached up, touched her face, brushed the tears away with his thumb. We'll figure it out, he said. Whatever comes, we'll figure it out together. Clara nodded. She couldn't speak. Outside, the storm began to ease. Inside, something new was beginning. But neither of them knew that on the horizon, riding through the dying storm, 3 men had finally picked up their trail. And Jeremiah Cole was leading them. The morning after the storm broke, Wade found the tracks. He came back to the cabin with his jaw set hard and his hand resting on the pistol at his hip. Clara knew something was wrong before he even spoke. Get the children inside, he said. Clara's heart dropped. What is it? Tracks. 3 horses. Came in from the east, circled the property, then headed back toward town. Could be anyone. Travelers, maybe. Travelers don't circle. Hunters don't neither. Wade's eyes met hers. Someone's watching us. Clara felt the blood drain from her face. She grabbed Emmy's arm and pulled her toward the door. Sam, get your brother, now. Mama, what's... Now, Sam. The children scrambled inside. Clara turned back to Wade. It's him, she said. Jeremiah, he found us. You don't know that. I do. Her voice cracked. I know how he thinks. He don't come at you direct. He circles, watches, waits until you think you're safe. She grabbed Wade's arm. We have to leave, tonight. Before he... No. Clara stared at him. What? You ain't running no more. Wade's voice was steel. This is my land, my home, and I ain't letting some bastard drive you off it. Wade, you don't understand. Jeremiah Cole has killed men. Men bigger than you, meaner than you. He doesn't fight fair. Neither do I. He turned and walked toward the barn. Clara followed, her heart pounding. What are you doing? Getting ready. He pulled open the barn door. If he's coming, he's coming. But he ain't taking you or those children without going through me first. And if he does go through you, what then? Wade stopped. He turned to face her, and for the first time she saw fear in his eyes. Not for himself, for her. Then you take the rifle, he said quietly, and you don't miss. They spent the day preparing. Wade showed Clara where he kept the extra ammunition. He taught Sam how to load the shotgun, made him practice until the boy could do it with his eyes closed. He boarded up the windows on the east side of the cabin and reinforced the door with a wooden beam. Clara watched him work, her hands trembling. She'd seen this before. The night before Silas left, he'd done the same thing. Packed bags, checked weapons, prepared for something he wouldn't name. But Silas had been running away. Wade was digging in. You've done this before, she said. Wade drove another nail into the board. Done what? Prepared for a fight. Like you know exactly what's coming. He stopped hammering. Set down the tool. The war, he said finally. Spent 3 years getting ready for men who wanted to kill me. Thought I'd left that behind. I'm sorry. Don't be. Ain't your doing. He picked up the hammer again. Besides, this is different. How? He looked at her. I got something worth fighting for now. Clara's breath caught. She wanted to say something, thank you. I'm scared. Please don't die. But the words stuck in her throat. Wade went back to his work. Clara went back to hers. But something had shifted between them. something neither of them could take back. That night, Wade did not sleep by the fire. He sat by the window rifle across his lap watching the darkness. Clara lay in bed with the children, but she couldn't close her eyes. Every creak of the cabin, every moan of the wind made her heart jump. Around midnight she got up. She crossed to where Wade sat and lowered herself onto the floor beside him. "You should rest," he said without looking at her. "So should you." "I'll rest when this is over." Clara pulled her knees to her chest. "What if it's never over? What if he keeps coming, keeps hunting us until... Then I'll keep fighting." Wade finally turned to look at her. "I told you, Clara, I ain't going nowhere." "You can't promise that." "No, I can't." He reached out, touched her hand. His fingers were rough, calloused, warm. "But I can promise I'll try. Every day for as long as I got breath in my body, I'll try." Clara felt the tears sliding down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know. I'm scared he's going to take everything. The children, you, this life we're building." Wade squeezed her hand. "He ain't taking nothing. You hear me? Nothing." Clara leaned into him. He put his arm around her, pulled her close. She pressed her face into his shoulder and let herself cry, really cry, for the first time in months. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, Wade held her, and for one brief moment, Clara let herself believe they might actually survive this. Jeremiah Cole rode in at noon the next day. Clara saw them first, three shapes on the ridge silhouettes against the pale winter sky. Her stomach turned to ice. "Wade." He was beside her in an instant. He looked out the window, and his whole body went rigid. "Sam." His voice was calm, steady. "Take your sisters into the back room. Don't come out until I tell you." "But..." "Now, boy." Sam grabbed Emmy's hand. Clara scooped up Will. They moved into the back room, and Wade closed the door behind them. "Stay with them," he told Clara. "No." "Clara!" "I said no." She picked up the rifle from the mantel. "This is my fight. I ain't hiding while you face it alone." Wade's jaw tightened. For a moment she thought he'd argue. Then he nodded once. "Stay behind me. Don't speak unless I tell you to." "Wade." "I mean it, Clara. These men, they don't see women as people. They see property. If you talk, you give them power." Clara's hands shook on the rifle. "And if they try to take me..." Wade's eyes went hard. Cold. A soldier's eyes. "They won't." The riders stopped at the edge of the property. Wade walked out to meet them, his stride long and unhurried. Clara followed the rifle held low against her leg. The man in front wore a black coat and a smile that made Clara's skin crawl. His face was long, narrow, framed by hair that had gone gray before its time. His eyes were the color of dirty ice. Jeremiah Cole. "Well, well." His voice was smooth, cultured wrong for this place. "Mrs. Whitmore, you're a hard woman to find." Wade stepped forward. "You're on my land." Jeremiah's smile didn't waver. "And who might you be?" "Name's Callahan. This is my ranch." "Ah." Jeremiah looked around, taking in the cabin, the barn, the fences. "Nice place. Quiet. I can see why she'd hide here." "She ain't hiding. She's living." "Living." Jeremiah's smile twisted. "Is that what we're calling it?" He turned his attention to Clara. "You look well, Mrs. Whitmore. Better than the last time I saw you." Clara's grip tightened on the rifle. "That's because you're not standing as close." Something flickered in Jeremiah's eyes. Anger. Hunger. "Still got that mouth on you. Silas always did say you didn't know your place." "Silas is dead," Clara said. "And his debts died with him." "Did they?" Jeremiah leaned forward in his saddle. "See, I remember things differently. I remember a woman who promised me certain considerations in exchange for her husband's freedom. I promised you nothing." Your husband did, on your behalf. Jeremiah's smile widened. And a wife's place is to honor her husband's word. Clara felt rage building in her chest. Silas had no right. He had every right. You were his property, Mrs. Whitmore, just like that cabin, that wagon, those children. His eyes moved to the cabin. Speaking of which, where are the little ones? Wade stepped between them. You ain't going near those children. I have no interest in the children. Jeremiah's gaze fixed on Clara. Just her. She ain't yours. No. Jeremiah tilted his head. And what is she to you, Mr. Callahan? Your cook, your maid. He paused. Your whore. Wade's hand went to his pistol. Get off my land. Or what? Jeremiah laughed. You'll shoot me in front of my men. They'd kill you before you hit the ground. Maybe. But I'd take you with me. The smile faded from Jeremiah's face. For a long moment, the two men stared at each other. You don't know what you're protecting, Jeremiah said finally. She's poison Callahan. Everything she touches turns to ash. Ask Silas. Ask the men she's already killed. I didn't kill nobody, Clara spat. Not yet, but you will. It's in your nature. Jeremiah's eyes were cold. Come with me now, Mrs. Whitmore, and I'll leave this place in peace. Your children can stay here safe and warm. I'll even let Mr. Callahan keep his ranch. And if I don't, Jeremiah's smile returned, then I'll burn it all to the ground. The cabin, the barn, the children inside. He shrugged. Makes no difference to me. Clara's heart stopped. The children. He was threatening the children. She stepped forward. You wouldn't? Wouldn't I? Jeremiah pulled back his coat, revealing a pistol at his hip. I've done worse for less. You know that. Clara knew. She knew exactly what Jeremiah Cole was capable of. She'd seen it in Silas's face every time he came home from a card game. She'd heard it in the screams from the building next to theirs the night Jeremiah collected another debt. She couldn't let him anywhere near her children. All right, she said. Wade grabbed her arm. Clara, no. Let go of me. She pulled free. He's right. I'm not worth dying for. I'm not worth letting them die for. Clara? Wade, please. Her voice broke. I can't watch him hurt them. I can't. She started forward. 1 step. 2. Jeremiah smiled. That's a good girl. I knew you'd see reason. Wade moved. He was faster than Clara had ever seen anyone move. 1 second he was beside her. The next, he was between her and Jeremiah, his pistol drawn and aimed at Jeremiah's chest. She ain't going nowhere. Jeremiah's men went for their guns. Clara raised the rifle without thinking. Her hands were steady now, rock steady. Tell them to stop, Wade said, or I put a bullet through your heart. Jeremiah held up a hand. His men froze. Mr. Callahan! His voice was still smooth, but there was an edge to it now. You're making a mistake. No. You're making a mistake. Wade's voice was ice. You rode onto my land. You threatened my family. And now you think you can ride away with the woman I love. He cocked the pistol. That ain't happening. Clara's breath caught. The woman I love. Jeremiah's eyes narrowed. Love you, love her. He laughed, but it was hollow. You don't know what love is, Callahan. Love is weakness. Love is a chain around your neck. Maybe. But it's also a reason to fight. Wade didn't blink. And right now, I got 3 reasons standing in that cabin. 3 children who need a mother. 3 children who are never gonna know what it feels like to be afraid of a man like you. You can't stop me. I can try. Something passed between them. Something Clara couldn't name. A recognition, maybe. 2 predators sizing each other up. Then Jeremiah smiled. All right, Callahan, you win this round. He gathered his reins. But this ain't over. You hear me? This ain't... The shot cracked across the valley. Jeremiah jerked. His hand went to his shoulder where blood was spreading across his coat. His horse reared, nearly throwing him. Clara whipped around. Sam stood in the doorway. Wade's shotgun still raised, his face white as bone. "Get away from my mama," the boy said. Jeremiah's men reached for their guns. Wade fired once, twice. One man fell from his saddle. The other's horse bolted, carrying him across the field and out of sight. Jeremiah steadied his mount, his hand pressed to his bleeding shoulder. His eyes were wild now, all pretense of civility gone. "You'll pay for this," he snarled. "All of you. You'll leave." Wade's voice was flat. "Now, while you still can." Jeremiah looked at Clara, at Sam, at Wade, his pistol still smoking. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes." Clara stepped forward. Her voice was stronger than she'd ever heard it. "It is." She raised the rifle, sighted down the barrel. Her hands didn't shake. "I ain't that scared woman you knew in Nebraska. I ain't Silas's property. I ain't yours." She took another step. "I'm Clara Whitmore. I'm a mother. I'm a survivor. And if you ever come near my children again, I won't aim for your shoulder." Jeremiah stared at her. For the first time, she saw something new in his eyes. Fear. "Go," she said, "and don't come back." Jeremiah yanked his reins. His horse wheeled. A moment later, he was gone. A dark shape vanishing into the trees, leaving nothing but hoof prints and blood in the snow. Clara stood there, rifle still raised, heart pounding. Then her legs gave out. Wade caught her before she hit the ground. "I got you," he said. "I got you." Clara clung to him, shaking. Sam ran to her, the shotgun forgotten on the porch. Emmy appeared in the doorway. Will in her arms, both of them crying. "Mama!" Emmy screamed. "Mama, are you hurt?" "I'm okay, baby." Clara pulled her children close. "I'm okay. We're all okay." They huddled there in the snow, holding each other, while the wind blew cold and the sun began to set. Wade stood apart, watching the horizon, making sure Jeremiah didn't return. Finally, Clara stood. She crossed to where Wade stood and put her hand on his arm. "Thank you," she said. "Don't thank me." His voice was rough. "Thank your boy. He's the one who made the shot." Clara looked at Sam. The boy stood by the porch, his face still pale, his hands still shaking. "Sam." Clara crossed to him, knelt in front of him. "Baby, look at me." Sam's eyes were wet. "I shot a man, Mama." "I know. I didn't mean to. I just saw him threatening you and I—" His voice broke. "I didn't want him to take you away." Clara pulled him into her arms. "You saved us. You understand. You saved all of us." Sam sobbed against her shoulder. Clara held him, rocking him like she used to when he was small. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. "So proud." Behind her, Wade gathered up the fallen man's guns. He checked the body dead and dragged it behind the barn. When he came back, his hands were bloody. "We need to go to town," he said. "Report what happened. Sheriff needs to know." "Will there be trouble?" "Might be." Wade wiped his hands on his pants. "But better to get ahead of it. Tell our side first." Clara nodded. She looked at her children, scared, shaken, but alive. All alive. "Tomorrow," she said. "We'll go tomorrow." "All right." Wade hesitated. Then he said, "What I said out there, about loving you." Clara's heart squeezed. "Wade, I meant it." He met her eyes. "I know it ain't the right time. I know you got every reason to run from another man trying to claim you. But I ain't claiming nothing. I'm just—" He paused. "I'm just saying it's true." Clara felt the tears coming again. She didn't fight them. "I don't know if I can love you back," she said. "Not yet. Not the way you deserve." I know. But I want to try. She reached for his hand. I want to try, Wade. He squeezed her fingers. That's enough. For now, that's enough. They stood there as the last light faded. Their hands clasped their children around them. The cabin behind them solid and warm. Jeremiah Cole was gone. Maybe not forever. Men like him didn't give up easy, but for now, he was gone. And for now, that was enough. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind. The children had finally fallen asleep, exhausted from the day's terror. Wade sat by the fire rifle across his knees, keeping watch. Around midnight, Clara got up. She crossed to Wade and sat beside him. He didn't speak. I keep seeing it, she said. Sam's face when he pulled that trigger. He looked so old, Wade. So old and so scared. He did what he had to do. He's 10. He shouldn't have had to do anything. Wade was quiet for a moment. Then he said, When I was 10, I watched my father kill a man who tried to steal our horse. Beat him to death with a shovel. I had nightmares for years. Clara's throat tightened. How did you get past it? I didn't. Not really. He looked at her. But I learned to live with it. Learned that sometimes the world forces you to do terrible things, and the only choice you got is how you carry them. I don't want that for Sam. Neither do I. But he's stronger than you think, stronger than any of us. Clara leaned against Wade's shoulder. He put his arm around her. What happens now? She asked. Now we wait. See if Jeremiah comes back. And if he does, then we fight again. Wade's voice was steady. And we keep fighting, until he gives up or we put him in the ground. Clara closed her eyes. I'm tired of fighting. I know. I'm tired of running. Tired of being scared. Tired of looking over my shoulder every second of every day. I know. Wade pulled her closer. But you ain't alone no more. Whatever comes, you ain't facing it alone. Clara felt something shift inside her. Something that had been locked away for years, hidden behind walls of fear and pain. Hope. It was small, fragile, barely a spark, but it was there. Wade. Yeah. Ask me again. What I said before about trying to love you. What about it? Clara lifted her head, met his eyes. I'm not trying anymore. I'm not scared anymore. She touched his face. I love you. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you gave us shelter. Maybe when you taught Sam to rope. Maybe when you stood in front of Jeremiah Cole and called me family. She paused. But it happened, and I'm done pretending it didn't. Wade's breath caught. For a moment, he just looked at her. Then he kissed her. It was soft at first. Careful, like he was afraid she might break. But Clara pulled him closer, and the kiss deepened, and for one perfect moment, there was nothing else in the world. Just them. Just this. When they finally broke apart, Wade rested his forehead against hers. I love you too, he said. Been loving you since the moment you stepped into my cabin and told me you could work. Clara laughed. It came out wet, broken, but real. We're fools, she said. Yeah, we are. Wade smiled. But at least we're fools together. They sat by the fire until dawn, holding each other, talking about nothing and everything. The past, the future, the life they might build together. When the sun finally rose, Clara looked out the window at the snow-covered land. It looked different now. Not empty. Not threatening. It looked like home. And for the first time in years, Clara Whitmore let herself believe she might actually get to keep it. The ride to town took 3 hours. Clara held Will against her chest, his small body warm, despite the cold. Emmy sat between her and Wade on the wagon seat, while Sam rode in the back, the shotgun across his knees. The boy hadn't spoken since they left the ranch. Clara kept looking back at him. His face was blank empty, like something had been carved out of him. "He'll be all right," Wade said quietly. "Will he?" "He's got you. He's got us." Wade guided the horses around a frozen rut. "That's more than most." Clara wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that her 10-year-old son could kill a man and still come out whole on the other side. But she'd seen what violence did to people. She'd seen it in Silas, in Jeremiah, in every man who thought blood was the answer to everything. She didn't want to see it in her son. The town of Timber Ridge appeared on the horizon. Clara's stomach clenched. She hadn't been here since they arrived, hadn't wanted to risk being seen, being recognized. Now, she had no choice. "What do we tell the sheriff?" she asked. "The truth. Men came onto my land. Threatened my family. We defended ourselves. And if he doesn't believe us..." Wade's jaw tightened. "He will." The wagon rolled down the main street. People stopped to stare. Clara felt their eyes on her, curious and suspicious. She pulled her shawl tighter and kept her head high. The sheriff's office sat at the end of the street, a squat building with a single barred window. Wade pulled the wagon to a stop and climbed down. "Stay here," he said. "No." Clara handed Will to Emmy. "I'm coming with you." "Clara." "I said no." She climbed down, her legs shaking. "This is my fight too. I ain't hiding anymore." Wade looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. They walked into the sheriff's office together. Sheriff Daniel Tucker was a big man with a gray mustache and tired eyes. He sat behind a battered desk, a cup of coffee growing cold in front of him. He looked up when they entered. His eyes moved from Wade to Clara, then back again. "Callahan," he said. "Been a while." "Sheriff? Heard there was trouble out at your place." Wade's expression didn't change. "Word travels fast." "It does when a man rides into town with a bullet in his shoulder screaming about murder." Tucker leaned back in his chair. "Care to explain?" "Self-defense," Wade said. "3 men rode onto my land yesterday, threatened my family. We defended ourselves." "Your family?" Tucker's eyes moved to Clara. "And who might this be?" Clara stepped forward. "Clara Whitmore. Those men were after me." "After you? Why?" Clara's throat tightened. "My husband owed them money. When he died, they decided I was payment." Tucker studied her for a long moment. His expression was unreadable. "The man in my jail says you shot him unprovoked," he said. "Says you lured him onto Callahan's land and ambushed him." "That's a lie." "Maybe. But it's his word against yours." Tucker stood. He was even bigger, standing up, his shoulders nearly filling the doorway. "I need to ask you some questions, Mrs. Whitmore, in private." Wade moved forward. "Anything you say to her, you can say to me." "This ain't your business, Callahan." "She's my family. That makes it my business." Tucker's eyes narrowed. "Family. That official?" Clara felt her cheeks flush. "We ain't married, if that's what you're asking." "Then you ain't family. Not legally." Tucker nodded toward a door at the back. "This way, Mrs. Whitmore." Clara looked at Wade. He reached for her hand, squeezed it once. "I'll be right here," he said. Clara nodded. She followed the sheriff into the back room. The room was small, bare, just a table and 2 chairs. Tucker closed the door and gestured for Clara to sit. She didn't. "I'd rather stand," she said. "Suit yourself." Tucker leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Tell me about Jeremiah Cole." Clara's blood went cold. "How do you know that name?" "The man in my jail. He mentioned it. Said Cole sent him to collect a debt." Tucker's eyes were sharp. "What kind of debt, Mrs. Whitmore?" Clara's hands clenched at her sides. "My husband was a gambler. He lost money to Cole, a lot of money. When he couldn't pay, he... She stopped. The words stuck in her throat. He what? He offered me. As collateral. Tucker's expression flickered, just for a second. And Cole accepted. He did, but I didn't. Clara's voice hardened. I ran. Took my children and ran. Been running for 4 months. And now you've stopped. Now I've found somewhere worth stopping for. Tucker was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, The man who got shot yesterday, you know who he was? One of Cole's men. His name was Tom Garrett. He had a wife in Denver, 2 kids. Clara felt like she'd been punched. I didn't know. No, you didn't. Tucker pushed off the wall. The man who killed him, that your boy... Clara's heart stopped. What? The boy with the shotgun, in your wagon. He's the one who pulled the trigger, ain't he? Clara couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Mrs. Whitmore, Tucker's voice was softer now. I ain't trying to hang your son. Boy that age defending his mother, most judges would call that justified. But I need to know the truth. Clara's eyes burned. Yes, Sam shot him, but only because Garrett was going to kill me. He was going to... I believe you. Clara blinked. You do? Tom Garrett was a known criminal. Robbery, assault, worse. He's been running with Cole for years. Tucker moved to the door. Your boy did the world a favor. I ain't gonna punish him for it. What about Cole? The man in your jail. That ain't Cole. That's one of his lackeys, a fool named Weston. Cole rode out of here 3 hours ago, headed east. Tucker opened the door. He's gone, Mrs. Whitmore, for now. For now, Clara repeated. But he'll come back. Maybe, maybe not. Tucker stepped aside. Either way, you got a friend in this office. You need anything, you come to me. Understand? Clara nodded. She couldn't speak. She walked out of the back room on legs that felt like water. Wade was waiting. The moment she appeared, he crossed to her, took her hands. What happened? What did he say? It's over. Clara's voice shook. He believes us. Sam's not in trouble. Wade's whole body sagged with relief. Thank God. He said Cole left, headed east. You believe that? Clara thought about it. I believe he's gone for now. Whether he stays gone... She shook her head. I don't know. Wade pulled her close. She buried her face in his chest, breathing in the smell of leather and wood smoke. Let's go home, he said. Home. The word wrapped around her like a blanket. Yeah, she said. Let's go home. They stopped at Agnes Pennington's store on the way out of town. Agnes took one look at Clara's face and pulled her into a hug. I heard what happened. The whole town's talking. What are they saying? That Wade Callahan finally found something worth fighting for. Agnes pulled back, her eyes bright. About time, if you ask me. Clara felt a laugh bubble up in her chest. It came out broken, wet, but real. I brought you something. Agnes ducked behind the counter and came back with a bundle wrapped in brown paper. Wedding dress. Belonged to my daughter. She'd want you to have it. Clara stared at the bundle. Mrs. Pennington, I can't. You can and you will. Agnes pressed it into her hands. That man out there loves you. Anyone with eyes can see it. Don't make him wait too long. Clara looked at the bundle, at Agnes, at the door where Wade stood waiting with the children. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me. Just be happy. Agnes squeezed her hand. Lord knows you've earned it. The ride home was quiet. Emmy fell asleep against Clara's shoulder. Will dozed in her lap. Even Sam seemed calmer, the tension draining from his face as the ranch came into view. Wade pulled the wagon to a stop in front of the cabin. He climbed down, then turned to help Clara. Their hands touched. He didn't let go. What Agnes said, he started. I know. I ain't asking you to marry me, not yet. I know you've been through, Wade. He stopped. Clara looked at him. At this man who'd saved her life, who'd stood in front of bullets for her children, who'd told Jeremiah Cole she was family before she even believed it herself. Ask me, she said. Wade's breath caught. What? Ask me to marry you. Clara, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. She stepped closer. I've spent 4 months running from my past. Running from men who wanted to own me. Running from the person I used to be. She touched his face. I don't want to run anymore. I want to stay. I want to build something. With you. Wade's eyes were wet. She'd never seen him cry before. Clara Whitmore. He said, his voice rough. Will you marry me? Yes. He kissed her. Right there in front of the children, in front of God and everyone. Emmy woke up and giggled. Sam made a disgusted sound, but he was smiling. When they finally broke apart, Wade rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he said. I know. Clara smiled. I love you too. So, they were married 3 days later. It was a small ceremony. Just the family, Agnes, Sheriff Tucker, and a handful of neighbors Clara had never met. The preacher came out from town, a young man with kind eyes who didn't ask too many questions. Clara wore Agnes's dress. It was too big in the shoulders and too long in the hem, but Emmy helped her pin it up, and when she walked out of the back room, Wade's face made it all worth it. You're beautiful, he said. You're biased. Damn right I am. They stood before the preacher, hands clasped, and spoke the words that would bind them together. For better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. Till death do us part. When the preacher pronounced them man and wife, Sam was the first to cheer. Emmy threw handfuls of snow like confetti. Even little Will clapped his hands, not understanding but happy anyway. That night, after the guests had gone and the children were asleep, Wade and Clara sat on the porch wrapped in blankets watching the stars. Thank you, Clara said. For what? For everything. For taking us in. For fighting for us. For loving us. Wade pulled her closer. You don't have to thank me for that. I know. But I want to. She looked up at him. I spent 7 years with a man who never saw me. Not really. He saw what I could do for him, what I could give him. But he never saw me. Clara, you see me. Her voice cracked. From the first moment you saw me. Not as a burden, not as a prize, just me. Wade kissed the top of her head. You're the easiest person to see I ever met. They sat there until the cold drove them inside, until the fire burned low and the night grew quiet. Clara fell asleep in Wade's arms, her children safe in the next room, her heart full for the first time in years. She didn't dream of running. 2 weeks passed. The ranch fell into an easy rhythm. Clara cooked and cleaned while Wade worked the cattle. Sam helped with the animals, growing stronger and more confident every day. Emmy took charge of the chickens, naming each one and crying when they had to kill one for dinner. Will took his first steps on a Tuesday afternoon. Clara cried. Wade pretended not to. He's got good legs, Wade said, watching the boy toddle across the cabin. Gonna be a rancher someday. Or a banker. Or a teacher. Or anything he wants to be. Wade smiled. Fair enough. That night, as they lay in bed, Clara told Wade something she'd been keeping secret. I'm late, she said. Wade went still. Late for what? My monthly. It's been 6 weeks. Wade sat up. His eyes were wide. You mean? I don't know for sure, but I think I might be carrying. For a long moment, Wade didn't speak. Then he laughed, a full, joyful sound Clara had never heard from him before. A baby, he said. Our baby. Wade, I don't know for certain. I don't care. He pulled her into his arms. I don't care if it's certain or not. I'm happy either way. Clara felt tears sliding down her cheeks. You're not scared. Terrified. But that's what being a parent is, ain't it? Being terrified and doing it anyway. Clara laughed through her tears. I suppose it is. They held each other until morning, talking about the future. Names. Rooms. Whether it would be a boy or a girl. For the first time in her life, Clara let herself dream. The peace lasted exactly 3 more days. Clara was hanging laundry when she heard the hoofbeats. Her blood went cold. Not again. Please God, not again. She dropped the shirt and ran for the cabin. Sam, Emmy, get inside. The children scrambled to obey. Clara grabbed the rifle from above the mantel and positioned herself by the window. The rider came over the ridge. 1 horse. 1 man. Not Jeremiah. Clara squinted. The rider was too young, too thin. He rode like he was injured, slumped forward in the saddle. Mama? Sam appeared at her elbow. Who is it? I don't know. Stay back. The rider reached the cabin and nearly fell off his horse. He caught himself on the saddle horn, his face pale and sweating. Help! He croaked. Please, I need help. Clara didn't move. Who are you? My name's Jake. Jake Moreno. He coughed and blood flecked his lips. Wade Callahan. He around. Why? Because Jeremiah Cole is coming. Jake's eyes rolled back. And he's bringing an army. He collapsed. Sir. Wade came running from the barn. He took one look at Jake and went pale. Get him inside, now. They carried the young man into the cabin and laid him on the bed. His shirt was soaked with blood. When Clara pulled it back, she saw the wound, a bullet hole right through his side. Who did this? Wade demanded. Cole. Jake's voice was fading. I was riding with him. Didn't know what kind of man he was. When I found out, I tried to leave. He coughed again. He shot me. Left me for dead. How many men does he have? 10. Maybe more. They're coming, Callahan. Coming for the woman. Wade's face went hard. When? Tomorrow. Maybe the day after. They were a day behind me, but I rode all night. His eyes closed. His body went limp. Clara checked his pulse. Still there, but weak. He needs a doctor, she said. Ain't got time for that. Wade was already moving, pulling guns from the cabinet boxes of ammunition from under the floorboards. If Cole's coming with 10 men, we need to get ready. Wade, we can't fight 10 men. We need to leave. We need to... No. Wade grabbed her shoulders. His eyes were fierce. I ain't running. Not from my land. Not from my home. And neither are you. But the children. The children are gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. He kissed her hard and fast. I promised you I'd fight for this family. And I meant it. Clara looked at him. At this man she'd married. This man who'd rather die than run. She thought about Silas. How he'd run from everything. How he'd left her behind without a second thought. Wade was nothing like Silas. Wade was everything Silas should have been. All right, she said. We fight. Wade nodded. We fight. But they spent the night preparing. Wade fortified the cabin. Clara melted lead and cast bullets. Sam cleaned every gun in the house, his small hands steady and sure. Emmy kept watch over Jake, who drifted in and out of consciousness. The young man's fever was rising, but there was nothing they could do about it now. Around midnight, Clara found Wade standing outside, staring at the horizon. You should sleep, she said. Can't. Neither can I. She stood beside him. What are you thinking about? Martha, my boy. He was quiet for a moment. When they died, I thought I'd never feel anything again. Thought I'd just exist. Go through the motions until my body gave out. And now I got everything to lose. He looked at her. That terrifies me more than Cole ever could. Clara took his hand. We're gonna survive this. You don't know that. No, I don't. But I believe it. And right now belief is all we got. Wade pulled her close. They stood there in the cold, holding each other, watching the stars. I love you, he said. I love you too. Whatever happens tomorrow. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. Clara pulled back, met his eyes. That's what family does. Wade smiled. It was small, tired, but real. Yeah, he said. I reckon it is. Dawn came too fast. Clara woke to the sound of hoofbeats, distant but getting closer. Wade! He was already up, already armed. I hear them. Clara ran to the window. Her breath caught. On the ridge, silhouetted against the rising sun, a line of riders appeared. 10 of them, maybe more. And at the front, his arm in a sling, his face twisted with hatred, rode Jeremiah Cole. Clara Whitmore? His voice carried across the valley. I've come to collect what's mine. Clara grabbed the rifle. Her hands didn't shake. Beside her, Wade cocked his pistol. Behind them, Sam held the shotgun, his face pale but determined. Stay with your sisters, Clara told him. No. Sam's voice was firm. I ain't hiding while you fight. Sam, I shot one of them before. I can do it again. The boy met her eyes. Let me help Mama, please. Clara looked at her son, at the man he was becoming. All right, she said. But you stay behind us. Understand? Sam nodded. Clara turned back to the window. Jeremiah Cole was riding closer now, his men fanning out behind him. Clara! He shouted. Last chance. Come out now and I'll let the others live. Clara looked at Wade. He looked at her. Ready? He asked. Clara raised her rifle, sighted down the barrel, found Jeremiah Cole in her crosshairs. Ready, she said. Wade kicked open the door. The battle had begun. The first shot tore through the cabin wall. Clara ducked, pulling Sam down with her. Splinters flew past her face. Emmy screamed from the back room. Stay down, Wade shouted. He fired through the window once, twice. A man fell from his horse. Clara raised her rifle, found a target, squeezed the trigger. The kick slammed into her shoulder. She didn't know if she hit anything. Mama! Sam tugged at her sleeve. They're going around back. Clara's blood went cold. The back door. They'd forgotten to barricade it. Wade. I heard. He fired again, then ran for the back. Clara followed, her heart in her throat. They reached the door just as it burst open. A man came through, gun raised. Wade tackled him before he could fire. They hit the floor, struggling, grunting. Clara couldn't get a clear shot. Move! Sam pushed past her, shotgun raised. Mr. Wade, move! Wade rolled. Sam fired. The man went still. Clara grabbed her son, pulled him back. Are you hurt, Sam? Are you? I'm fine, Mama. His voice was shaking, but his eyes were clear. I'm fine. Wade was already on his feet, checking the body. 2 down, 8 to go. Wade, I can't. You can. He grabbed her face, made her look at him. You can, and you will. For them. For us. You understand. Clara nodded. Her hand steadied on the rifle. Good. Wade kissed her forehead. Now, let's finish this. The battle raged for what felt like hours. In reality, it was maybe 20 minutes. 20 minutes of gunfire and screaming and the smell of powder and blood. 20 minutes of Clara shooting at shadows, of Wade fighting like a man possessed, of Sam reloading guns as fast as they emptied. 4 more men fell. Then a 5th. But Cole's men kept coming. We're running out of ammunition, Clara shouted. I know. Wade fired his last shot, ducked behind the overturned table. There's more in the barn. The barn's 50 yards away. I know. Clara looked at the window, at the men outside circling like wolves. at Jeremiah Cole still on his horse watching with that cold smile. "I'll go," she said. "Like hell you will." "Wade, we don't have a choice. If we run out of bullets, we're dead anyway." "Then I'll go." "No." Clara grabbed his arm. "You're a better shot than me. You stay here, keep them pinned. I'll run for the barn, grab what I can run back." "Clara, there's no time to argue." She shoved the rifle into his hands. "Cover me." Before he could stop her, she was out the door. The cold hit her like a fist. Clara ran. Her boots slipped on the frozen ground. Bullets whizzed past her, kicking up snow. She didn't stop, didn't look back. The barn door was open. She threw herself inside, gasping for breath. Ammunition. Where was the ammunition? She tore through the shelves, the boxes, the piles of equipment, found the crate Wade had shown her, ripped it open. Bullets. Dozens of them. She stuffed her pockets, grabbed the whole box, turned to run back, and came face to face with Jeremiah Cole. He stood in the doorway, his pistol aimed at her chest. His face was calm, almost peaceful. "Hello, Clara," he said. Clara's heart stopped. "How? Did you think I'd let my men do all the work?" He stepped closer. "No. I wanted to be the one to find you, the one to bring you back. I ain't going anywhere with you." "Yes, you are." He cocked the pistol. "Drop the box." Clara's hands tightened on the ammunition. If she dropped it, they were dead. Wade, Sam, Emmy, we'll all dead. "I said drop it." "No." Jeremiah's smile faded. "You always were stubborn. Silas warned me about that, said you didn't know your place." "I know my place." Clara's voice didn't waver. "It's here, with my family, on my land." "Your land," Jeremiah laughed. "You think that rancher loves you? You think he'll keep you when he finds out what you really are? And what's that? A whore's daughter. A gambler's wife. A woman who's been passed around like—" Clara moved. She swung the ammunition box with all her strength. It caught Jeremiah in the side of the head. He staggered, his gun going off wild. Clara didn't wait. She ran. She made it 3 steps before he caught her. His hand closed around her hair, yanked her back. She screamed, clawed at his arm. "You stupid bitch!" He threw her to the ground. "You think you can fight me? You think you can win?" Clara scrambled backward. Her hand found something, a pitchfork leaning against the wall. "I'm done fighting you," Jeremiah said. He raised his gun. "I'm done with all of it. You were never worth the trouble." Clara grabbed the pitchfork, thrust it upward. The tines caught Jeremiah in the shoulder. He screamed, dropping the gun. Clara scrambled to her feet, grabbed the pistol, and pointed it at his chest. "Don't move," she said. Jeremiah stared at her. Blood seeped between his fingers where he clutched his shoulder. "You won't shoot me," he said. "You don't have the—" She shot him in the leg. Jeremiah collapsed, howling. Clara stood over him, the gun still aimed at his head. "I told you," she said. "I ain't the woman you knew in Nebraska. You're dead." He was sobbing now, all pretense of control gone. "You're dead, you hear me? My men will—" "Your men are busy." Wade's voice came from the barn door. He stood there, rifle in hand, his face streaked with blood and powder. "Most of them are dead. The rest ran." "No." Jeremiah shook his head. "No, that's not— It's over, Cole." Wade stepped into the barn. His eyes never left Clara. "You lost." Jeremiah looked from Wade to Clara. Something in his face changed. The fear gave way to rage. "If I can't have her," he snarled, "no one can." He lunged for the gun at Clara's feet. Wade fired. Jeremiah Cole hit the ground and didn't move again. Clara stood frozen. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her whole body shook. Wade crossed to her, took the gun from her hands, pulled her into his arms. "It's over," he said. "It's over. He's gone." Clara buried her face in his chest. The tears came hot and fast. "I thought he was going to kill me," she sobbed. "I thought—" I know. Wade held her tighter. "But you fought. You survived. You're the bravest woman I ever met." "I'm not brave. I'm terrified." "That's what brave means." He pulled back, looked into her eyes. "Doing what needs doing even when you're scared. That's all bravery is." Clara looked at Jeremiah's body, at the blood spreading across the barn floor. "Is he really dead?" "Yeah." Wade's voice was grim. "He's really dead." Clara felt something shift inside her, a weight she'd been carrying for months, for years, finally lifting. "Good," she said. She didn't feel guilty about it. Maybe she would later. Maybe she'd wake up in the middle of the night haunted by the memory of his face. But right now, all she felt was relief. It was over. Finally, truly over. They walked out of the barn together. The yard was chaos. Bodies lay scattered in the snow. Horses milled around riderless. The cabin's windows were shattered, its walls pocked with bullet holes. But it was still standing. And on the porch, huddled together, were Sam, Emmy, and Will. "Mama!" Emmy screamed. She ran across the yard and threw herself into Clara's arms. "Mama, you're okay. I thought you were dead." "I'm okay, baby." Clara held her tight. "I'm okay." Sam approached more slowly. His face was pale, his hands still shaking. "Is it over?" he asked. "It's over." Wade put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "You did good, Sam. Real good." Sam looked up at him. "I killed another man." "You protected your family. There's no shame in that." "But—" "Sam." Clara knelt in front of her son. "Look at me." He looked. "You're not a killer. You're a protector. There's a difference." She touched his face. "Your father, your real father, he ran when things got hard. He left us behind. But you stayed. You fought. You're more of a man than he ever was." Sam's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, I'm so proud of you." Her voice broke. "So proud." Sam threw his arms around her. Clara held him, her boy who'd become a man too soon, and let him cry. The sheriff arrived 3 hours later. He rode up with 5 deputies, their faces grim. He surveyed the carnage without speaking, then turned to Wade. "Callahan, you want to explain what happened here?" "Self-defense." Wade's voice was flat. "Cole and his men came onto my land with intent to kill. We defended ourselves." Tucker looked at the bodies, at the cabin, at Clara still holding her children. "That's quite a defense," he said. "We didn't start this fight, Sheriff, but we sure as hell finished it." Tucker was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "I believe you. Cole's been a wanted man in 3 territories. There'll be questions, paperwork, but—" He shrugged. "Far as I'm concerned, you did the law a favor." Clara let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "What about the bodies?" she asked. "We'll take care of them. Get them buried proper." Tucker tipped his hat to her. "Mrs. Callahan, you've had quite a morning." "That's one way to put it." Tucker almost smiled. "Get some rest, both of you. I'll handle the rest." He signaled to his deputies and they began the grim work of collecting the dead. That night, after the children were asleep, Clara found Wade on the porch. He stood with his back to the door, staring at the horizon. His shoulders were tight, his hands clenched at his sides. "You all right?" Clara asked. "No." His voice was rough. "I keep seeing their faces, the men I killed. They would have killed us." "I know. Doesn't make it easier." Clara moved to stand beside him. She took his hand. "When I was married to Silas," she said, "I used to pray for someone to save me, Every night I'd get down on my knees and beg God to send anyone to take me away from that life. Clara, let me finish. She squeezed his hand. God didn't send anyone, not for years. I thought he'd forgotten about me, thought I was meant to suffer. You weren't. No, I wasn't. She turned to face him. He was waiting until I was strong enough to save myself, until I was ready to find you. Wade's eyes were wet. Clara, you didn't save me, Wade. I saved myself. But you gave me somewhere to go. Someone to go to. She touched his face. You gave me a home, a family, a future. I gave you trouble. You gave me everything. She kissed him soft and slow. I'd do it all again. Every mile I walked, every night I spent scared and cold and alone. I'd do it 1,000 times if it meant ending up here. Wade pulled her close. They stood there holding each other as the stars came out one by one. I love you, he said. I know. I love you too. They stayed on the porch until the cold drove them inside. Until the fire was stoked and the children were checked and the world felt safe again. That night, for the first time since she could remember, Clara slept without dreaming. 3 months later, the snow began to melt. The ranch came alive again. Calves were born. The garden was planted. The cabin was repaired stronger than before. Clara's belly began to swell. It's a girl, Emmy declared one morning, pressing her ear to Clara's stomach. I can tell. You cannot. I can too. She told me. Clara laughed. It came easy now, that sound. Natural, like breathing. Well, girl or boy, she's gonna have the best big sister in Wyoming. Emmy beamed. I know. Wade came in from the barn, his boots muddy, his face flushed from work. He stopped when he saw them, Clara in the rocking chair, Emmy kneeling at her feet, Will playing with blocks on the floor. What's going on? He asked. Emmy's talking to the baby. The baby talking back? She says she wants a pony. Wade's mouth twitched. Does she now? Mm-hmm. Emmy nodded seriously. A white one, with spots. Well, Wade knelt beside Clara, put his hand on her belly. I reckon we can find one of those. Clara covered his hand with hers. You spoil her. I spoil all of you. No complaints here. He kissed her, and Emmy made a gagging sound, and Will threw a block at them, and Clara thought her heart might burst from how full it felt. Jake Moreno stayed. The young man recovered slowly, nursed back to health by Emmy's relentless attention and Clara's stubborn care. When he was well enough to ride, Wade offered him a job. You need hands, Jake said. I need work. Seems like a fair trade. You sure? After everything that happened. I wasn't one of them. Jake's voice was firm. I didn't know what coal was. When I found out, I tried to leave. He shot me for it. Wade studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. You're hired. Jake grinned. It transformed his whole face, made him look young and hopeful and alive. You won't regret it, Mr. Callahan. Just Wade. And no, I don't reckon I will. Jake became part of the family. He taught Sam to rope just like Wade had promised. He made Emmy laugh with his jokes and his stories. He held Will on his shoulders and let the boy pull his hair. Clara watched it all with wonder. A year ago, she'd had nothing. No home, no hope, no future. Now she had everything. The baby came in August. Clara's labor was long and hard, but Agnes Pennington was there, and Wade never left her side. He held her hand through every contraction, wiped the sweat from her forehead, told her she was strong when she felt weak. I can't, Clara gasped. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Wade's voice was steady. You've done harder things than this. Name one. You walked through a blizzard with 3 children. You faced down Jeremiah Cole with nothing but a pitchfork. You married me. Clara laughed even through the pain. That last one wasn't so hard. It was. You just don't remember. Agnes appeared between her legs. I can see the head. One more push, Clara. Just one more. Clara pushed. And then a cry. Thin and reedy and perfect. It's a girl, Agnes announced. A healthy baby girl. Clara collapsed back on the pillows, tears streaming down her face. Wade was crying too, his hand still clutching hers. Agnes placed the baby on Clara's chest. She was tiny, red-faced, screaming at the top of her lungs. She was the most beautiful thing Clara had ever seen. "Hello, little one," Clara whispered. "Hello, my sweet girl." The baby's cries quieted. Her eyes opened blue like Clara's, like Emmy's, and she looked up at her mother. "She's perfect," Wade said. His voice was thick. "Just like you." "What should we name her?" Wade thought for a moment. "Martha, after my first wife, if that's all right." Clara's heart squeezed. "Martha Clara Callahan." "Martha Clara Callahan." Wade smiled. "I like it." The children met their sister that evening. Emmy was enchanted. She couldn't stop touching the baby's tiny fingers, her tiny toes, her tiny nose. "She's so small," Emmy breathed. "Was I ever this small?" "Smaller," Clara said. "You were born early. I was scared you wouldn't make it." "But I did." "You did. You're a fighter just like your sister." Sam hung back, watching from the doorway. Clara called him over. "Come meet her, Sam." He approached slowly, looked down at the baby with something like awe. "She's got your eyes, Mama." "I noticed." "She's gonna be trouble." Clara laughed. "Probably. But we'll handle it." Sam reached out, touched the baby's cheek with one finger. Martha grabbed it, held on tight. "She's strong," Sam said. "She's a Callahan." Wade came up behind him, put a hand on his shoulder. "We're all strong." Sam looked up at him. Something passed between them. Acceptance, maybe? Or belonging. "We're all Callahans now," Sam said. "Ain't we?" Wade's eyes softened. "Yeah, son, we are." 1 year later, Clara stood on the porch watching the sunset. Martha was on her hip babbling nonsense. Emmy was chasing chickens in the yard. Sam was helping Wade repair the fence, their voices carrying across the field. Will toddled around her feet, grabbing at her skirt, demanding attention. "Mama, up!" She shifted. Martha bent down, scooped up Will with her free arm. He laughed and grabbed at her braid. "Ow, gentle little man." "Sorry, Mama." He wasn't sorry. He grabbed again. Clara smiled. Her arms were full. Her heart was full. Her life was full. She thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, scared, running, convinced she'd never find peace. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone new, someone strong, someone who'd learned that home wasn't a place, it was the people you'd die to protect. Wade walked up from the field, Sam beside him. They were both covered in mud and sweat, grinning like fools. "Fence is fixed," Wade announced. "Finally." "Hey, it was a big fence." "It's been broken for 3 weeks." It was a very big fence. Clara rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Wade climbed the porch steps, kissed her forehead, took Martha from her arms. "Hello, little one. You been good for your mama?" Martha gurgled and grabbed his nose. "I'll take that as a yes." Sam sat on the porch steps, wiping his face with his sleeve. Emmy abandoned the chickens and ran over, flopping down beside him. "I'm hungry," she announced. "You're always hungry." "Because I'm growing," Mama says. Mama says a lot of things. What's that supposed to mean? Clara left them to their bickering. She leaned against the porch railing, looking out at the land, her land, now hers and Wade's and their children's. It wasn't perfect. The cabin still needed work. The cattle still needed tending. There were still hard days ahead, days of drought and cold and doubt. But they would face them together. Wade came up beside her, Martha asleep on his shoulder. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "Nothing. Everything." She looked at him. I was thinking about the night you found us, in the snow. What about it? You said you covered us because the ground was no place for children. You said, not tonight. I remember. Clara reached up, touched his face. Thank you. For that night. For every night since. You don't have to thank me. I know. But I want to. She kissed him soft and sweet. You gave me a place to stand. A place to build. A place to love. Clara. I spent years looking for somewhere to belong. Somewhere safe. And I found it. Right here. With you. Wade's arm tightened around her. You're not going to make me cry in front of the children. Too late. You're already crying. That's the dust. There's no dust. There's always dust. Clara laughed. It echoed across the yard, bright and warm. Emmy looked up. What's so funny? Your father's a terrible liar. I am not. You are too. Clara turned to her children, all of them, the ones she'd brought, and the one they'd made, and the man who'd become their father. Who's hungry? A chorus of me rang out. Then let's go inside. I'll make supper. She gathered them up one by one, Emmy and Sam and Will, Wade with Martha in his arms, Jake coming up from the barn waving hello. They filed into the cabin, into the warmth, into the life they'd built from nothing but courage and love. Clara paused at the door, looked back at the land one more time. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. The wind had softened to a whisper. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote howled. It was wild out there, dangerous, unforgiving. But in here, it was safe. In here, it was home. Clara stepped inside and closed the door behind her. She never looked back again. The woman who'd collapsed in the snow with 3 dying children was gone forever. In her place stood Clara Callahan, wife, mother, survivor, fighter. A woman who'd learned that the ground was no place for children. A woman who'd found a man brave enough to say, not tonight. And a woman who'd built a tomorrow worth fighting for. Stay with us for more tales where mercy meets the desperate and love rises from the ashes. Subscribe now.